One of the questions I get all the time when talking to people who are relocating to South Carolina is, what's the best lake to live on? And here's the thing, that's actually the wrong question. Because Lake Keowee, Lake Jocassee, Lake Hartwell, Lake Robson, and Lake Bowen are not all the same lake, not even close. They have completely different pricing points, completely different vibes, and completely different rules, and they attract completely different buyers. So in this video, I'm going to break down all 5 of them: the lifestyle, the real estate market, the neighborhoods, the price ranges, what you can and can't do on the water, all of it. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which lake fits the life you're actually trying to build here. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Brinson, your friendly local realtor right here in Greenville, South Carolina. And if you're thinking about making the move to Greenville or anywhere nearby, I would love to help you make the smart move to find the right area that actually fits your lifestyle. You can contact me at my phone number or my email listed below. Now let's talk about some lakes. People talk about downtown Greenville and the mountains, the food scene all the time. But one of the most underrated parts of living here is the lake lifestyle. And the Upstate gives you lots of options. Today we're going to talk about 5 really distinct options. So let me walk you through all of them, starting with the one that most people have heard of. The first one is Lake Keowee. Lake Keowee. If you've done any research on lake living in South Carolina, this name has come up, and for good reason. Keowee is a man-made reservoir that was created in the early 1970s by Duke Energy. It sits right at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and what makes it visually stunning is the combination. You've got clear blue water and mountain views. It's about 18,000 acres and over 300 miles of shoreline. And it sits roughly 45 minutes to an hour from downtown Greenville. This is the luxury play in the Upstate all the way. Now let's talk about real estate on Lake Keowee, because this is where it gets really fun. Waterfront homes on Lake Keowee right now are ranging anywhere between 1.2 million on the entry level and all the way up to 7 million plus for the ultra luxury estates. In fact, in late 2025, a home in the cliffs of Lake Keowee closed at 6.95 million. And that's not even the highest the lake has ever seen. If you want to be in the water without being on it, interior or off-water homes inside the gated communities typically run somewhere between 600,000 and 1.5 million range. And those still give you access to all the same amenities. Now here's something important to understand about Keowee's market. Scarcity is driving everything. There are fewer than 300 buildable waterfront lots left on the entire lake. Duke Energy controls the shoreline. They're not making more of it. So when demand stays strong for retirees, second home buyers, and remote workers coming down from the Northeast and Midwest, and supply can't go up, prices hold. And they have. So where do people actually live on Keowee? The 3 biggest names you'll hear are the Cliffs communities. There are actually multiple Cliffs communities around the lake. They are resort level living, championship golf courses, equestrian facilities, hiking trails, marinas, clubhouses. These aren't just neighborhoods, they're lifestyle destinations. Prices start here at around 300 million for waterfront. Now the next one is the Reserve at Lake Keowee. More intimate feel, still very luxury, private marina, golf, beautiful community. Waterfront homes here start around 3 million as well and climb well past that. And lastly, we'll talk about Keowee Key. This is one of the original planned communities here on the lake. Been here since the early days. It's got a great established feel, condos starting around 400,000 and waterfront estates up to 3 million. It's honestly the most accessible price point of the major communities. Then outside of those communities along Highway 11 corridor, you can find more independent waterfront properties, sometimes under $1 million with no HOA, but you'll want to understand the Duke Energy dock permitting process before you go that route. Bottom line, Keowee is for luxury buyers, retirees, second home buyers, people who want resort level amenities, and anyone who wants the full mountain meets lake experience. If budget is not your primary constraint, this is where the conversation starts. And right next door to Keowee, I mean literally next door, is our next lake, Lake Jocassee. And it could not be more different. Jocassee is one of the most pristine, most protected lakes in the entire Southeast. It feeds Keowee from above. The water is so clear you can see 20 to 30 feet down. There are waterfalls that drop right into the lake. It's famous for scuba diving, trout fishing, kayaking, and the Jocassee Gorges, which is a massive protected wilderness area surrounding the lake. The catch? Almost all the shoreline is publicly owned and protected. You can't just go buy a waterfront home on Lake Jocassee because basically there aren't any left. The primary public access is through Devil's Fork State Park. So from a real estate standpoint, here's the honest truth. If you're looking to live on Jocassee, your options are extremely limited. There are a very small number of private lots and cabins that occasionally come on the market, but this is not a lake you're buying a community home on. The shoreline is protected by design. What Jocassee really is for most buyers is an experience, not a residence. People who buy around Lake Keowee often boat over to Jocassee for the day. It's part of the appeal of the whole region. So the bottom line, Jocassee is for people who want to be near wild, untouched nature. Hikers, kayakers, people who want the adventure experience. If you're relocating and you're drawn to this area specifically, you'll likely end up living near Lake Keowee and accessing Jocassee by boat or by driving to the state park. Now we're shifting gears entirely. So we're going to be talking about Lake Hartwell. And Lake Hartwell is very large. We're talking over 56,000 acres. That's more than 3 times the size of Keowee. And it stretches across both South Carolina and Georgia with over 960 miles of shoreline. Hartwell sits primarily between Anderson and Seneca on the South Carolina side. And it's got a strong personality, boating culture, fishing tournaments, Clemson football energy, and a much wider range of price points than Keowee. This lake has something for almost every budget. That's one of the biggest draws here. Waterfront homes in Hartwell right now are averaging around $500,000 on the MLS, but the range is massive. You can find waterfront condos and starter lake homes in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, and on the upper end, there are custom waterfront estates pushing past $2 million. So practically what this means is Hartwell is where buyers who want the lake lifestyle but can't or don't want to spend Keowee prices go. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful lake with great boating access and multiple marinas, and a real community built around the water. For neighborhoods, you're looking at areas like Shoals near Anderson, Portman Marina near Deer Run, and communities along I-85 that give you quick access to both Anderson and Clemson. You also find gated condo communities right on the water that are a great option for second home buyers and investors. One thing people underestimate about Hartwell is the fishing. Bassmaster has recognized Hartwell among the best bass lakes in the country. If fishing is part of what you're after, Hartwell is serious business. And then there's the Clemson factor. If you have any connection to Clemson University, whether that's because you went there, your kids are going there, or you just love being near a college town, Hartwell puts you right into that orbit. Football weekends on the lake is a real thing here in Clemson, and you'll see the lakes filled up and the Clemson town filled up because they sure do love their Clemson football. Go Tigers. Hartwell's for buyers who want big water, real boating, fishing culture, more big budget flexibility, and proximity to Anderson and Clemson. It's the most accessible major lake in the Upstate for buyers coming in at a wide range of price points. All right, now we come to 2 lakes that I think are genuinely underrated and underknown, especially for people relocating from out of state. Lake Robinson, our next lake, sits right outside of Greer in Greenville County at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's about 800 acres owned by the Greer Commission of Public Works. And here's the thing about Robinson. It has a completely different feel from all the other lakes we've talked about. It's a quiet, scenic, peaceful lake. Mountain views in the distance, no jet skis, no big party boats. Motors are actually capped at 10 horsepower, which keeps it calm on the water. It's a fishing lake, a kayaking lake, a sit on your dock with a cup of coffee kind of lake. From a real estate standpoint, Lake Robinson is a genuinely interesting market. There are typically around 50 homes for sale in the area at any given time, and waterfront homes here are averaging $600 to $650 price point, with properties ranging from the upper 80,000s for lots all the way up to about $1.75 million for premier lakefront homes. Now, that's not cheap, but consider what you're getting. You are 14 miles from GSP Airport, You're close to downtown Greer, which has become a legitimate destination with its own restaurants and entertainment scene, and you're within a reasonable commute to downtown Greenville. Key neighborhoods here in the area include Still Waters at Lake Robinson. It's a gated community that's been getting a lot of attention with a community pool, pavilion, fire pit, and gorgeous Blue Ridge mountain views. There's also Lake Robinson Point, Blue Waters, and Pennington, a gated community with some of the best views on the lake. And here's something important for families. The schools in this area are excellent. You're in some of the most sought after school districts in the Upstate. So bottom line, Lake Robinson is for buyers who want the lake lifestyle without the big lake vibes. People who value peace and quiet, mountain views, top schools, short commutes to Greenville or Greer, and access to GSB Airport. If the idea of a quiet morning on a private dock sounds better to you than a weekend full of jet skis and fast boats, then Lake Robinson might be your lake. And then there's our last lake, Lake Bowen, officially called Lake William C. Bowen, managed by Spartanburg Water System. And it sits right outside of Inman on the Spartanburg side of the Upstate. Bowen is about 1,500 acres with 33 miles of shoreline. Here's what separates it from Robinson. You can actually boat fully on this lake. Jet skis, pontoons, motorboats are all allowed. This is a fully recreational lake, and it still has the small town, close-knit feel that the bigger lakes don't. Lake Bowen's real estate market is tighter than people expect. There are only about 30 waterfront homes in the market at any given time, and average prices run around $620,000 to $750,000, depending on when you're looking. The range goes from the low $300,000s for the more modest lakefront homes up to around $1 million to $1.1 million for larger estates with private docks. For communities, you've got established waterfront neighborhoods throughout Inman, as well as some areas in Bowling Springs and along Highway 9. There's no massive master plan gated communities on Bowen the way that there is on Keowee, which some buyers actually prefer. It's less HOA and more autonomy. Anchor Park gives great public access with boat ramps, fishing piers, and picnic areas. The town of Inman itself has a charming historic downtown with local restaurants and shops that's been growing. And Bowling Springs, just south of the lake, gives you suburban amenities with great schools in the Spartanburg district, shopping, and healthcare. One thing I always point out about Bowen is the interstate access is genuinely exceptional. You're close to both I-26 and I-85, which means Greenville is maybe 30 minutes away. Spartanburg is about 12 to 15 minutes. And if you ever think about going to Asheville or Charlotte, you're perfectly set up to jump on I-85 or I-26 to get there. So Bowen is for buyers who want full recreational lake access, boats, jet skis, the works. It's smaller, but more affordable market than Lake Keowee or Hartwell, and on the Spartanburg side of town. It's a great fit for people planning routes in the Bowling Springs or Inman area and anyone who needs quick and easy access to I-26 and I-85. All right, so let's bring it all together because I know that was a whole lot. The simplest way I know how to say it is Lake Keowee. Go here if you want the full luxury lake lifestyle. Mountain views, gated communities, resort amenities, budget starting at around $600,000 and climbing all the way up to $7 million plus. Jocassee, go here if you want to be near the wild, untouched nature, very limited private real estate. This is more of an experienced lake than a community lake. Lake Hartwell, go here if you want the big water, boating culture, fishing, Clemson University proximity, and the most flexibility in your budget. You can get into Hartwell waterfront at price points Keowee just can't offer. Lake Robinson, go here if you want that quiet lake view. Mountain scenery, top schools, 10 minutes to Greer, 20 minutes to Greenville, without the big lake vibes. And lastly, Lake Bowen. Go here if you want full recreational lake access on Spartanburg side of town, with a down-to-earth small-town community and great interstate access. The question is never just, what's the prettiest lake? The question is, what kind of life are you looking to build? And once you answer that, the right lake becomes obvious. So if you're relocating to the Upstate and are interested in lake living, please give me a call or shoot me an email, and I would love to help you navigate this process so that we can find the right spot for you. I'm Zach Brinson, your friendly local realtor. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.